Well, hi, hello, and how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am known as the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome to our weekend edition of this thing we do on social media called Front Porch Brunch. We are gathered together for the express purpose of reading the news, giving our views, and trying to find a way to get through this crazy thing that we call life. My name is Brian Trippett. I am known in social media as the Front Porch Conservative. I am sometimes referred to as the fine fella in the fedora. I'm sometimes called the kid in the lid. On occasion, I am called the common man with common sense. But in this moment, as always, I am, above all else, your host. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So please, as always, I beg of you, do me the following favors. Oh my goodness. Number one, if you are not a subscriber to my channel, please go ahead and do so. Number two, if you are a subscriber, go ahead and hit the like button. Please leave a comment in chat, be it on YouTube or on Rumble. Believe it or not, it really does help with the algorithm. It really helps push this channel out there to people who have maybe never seen it before. Number three, share the link around with your friends. Number four, okay, I'll leave that one up to you. Whatever you can do to help this little channel out, we would appreciate it. Oh my goodness, it is going to be a good Saturday morning. I have got a string of tabs strung out across the top of my computer screen. We have got all kinds of stuff to be talking about this morning. And oh my Lord. So much to get into. Some of it was from last week. I couldn't get into it. And some of it has just happened in the past few hours. So, it's going to be kind of the wild morning. I'll tell you that much. Anyway, glad to have you all here with us. We're looking forward to a great live stream this morning. And so much to talk about, so much to do, so many things to get into. First, we're going to take a look at who all is here this morning. And we'll start over on the Rumble side of things. And it looks like the wing nuts are gathered in force. WWG1's dropping the memes like a mad fiend. Z Highness is over there. Good morning, Z Highness. Mwah, you good looking thing, you. Where's TBA at? Where is TBA? The wing nuts are not quite the same without him priming the pump. But glad to have all y'all here this morning. Everybody's still settling into the room. All right, let us check out who is here on the YouTube side of things. Yes, my darling. Yes, USA is right. Our favorite crazy Canadian, Adam, is here this morning. And brother, I have found the things that you have sent. I've tried to get as many of them uploaded as I can, so you are going to be represented in the merry memes this morning. So thank you, sir. A fist bump in your general direction. Who else is here this morning? Goodness me. Yeah, where is Gypsy? I haven't seen her yet. What's up with that? She'll be here. She'll stroll in. Don't worry about that. Let's see. Who else is here? Kawan is in the house. I still say he waxes his eyebrows. Now, sir, I will neither confirm nor deny what I do for my personal grooming habits to help me look good for all of you guys. But if it makes you feel better to think I've waxed my eyebrows, well, go ahead. But we're glad to have you here this morning, and a fist bump in your general direction. Let us see. Who else is here? There she is. The brunch would not be the same without you. Mwah! Good morning, my dear. Good morning. Let's see. WWG1 says he plucks his eyebrows. It's more manly. Yeah, but that's painful. Oh, my God. Ew. Jeez. I love my audience. Oh, my Lord. I love my audience. All right. Good to have you guys here this morning. What time are you live on Thursdays? I am live on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, to answer your question. What? What? No! What? Heavens to Murgatroyd, man. This audience, I tell you what, you guys are just, I tell you, oh, word, mercy me. Anyway, Before we get started in earnest this morning, some housekeeping items. And let me make sure that this thing is working correctly. I want to make a general announcement. My good friend Christian Watson is going to have me on his live stream tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. It's called Moral Panic, and he co-hosts it with a good friend of his. I'm going to drop the link right now in both Rumble and YouTube. And like I said, this will be tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. They've invited me on as a guest, and I am always happy to visit with Christian Watson. He is not generally, he is. He's one of the best commentators out there on social media who deserves a whole lot more exposure than what he gets. But Christian has invited me on, and anytime we get together, it's always a good conversation, even though there might be moments we don't agree with each other. But I'm so looking forward to this, and it's going to be 5 o'clock tomorrow. Would you please do me this favor? Take that link, share it around with your friends. No, not the Packers wide receiver. Christian Watson, the social media commentator and political philosopher. No, not yeah. Okay, so now we have that straightened out. Anyway, please take the link and share it around with friends. I would love to bring a huge audience to this thing, and I know Christian and his co-host are working on the same thing, but any help you can give us tomorrow would be greatly appreciated. It's at 5 o'clock Eastern, will be 4 p.m. Central. So please, if you have some time, stop by, listen in to all of us having some conversations, and we would be eternally in your debt. Okay, maybe eternal's a little bit steep, but you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, thank you so much for that. And we are ready to start this thing in earnest. And with that, we will begin with the merry memes. You know, a lot of people these days are downing America for a lot of different reasons, and some of it's justified. And when I say justified, what I mean is, you know, they have legitimate criticisms of the way we do things and as a nation. However, there is one thing that you absolutely cannot criticize, and that is the opportunity for upward advancement. I mean, look, America always had, and sometimes it's a little tougher these days. I'm not going to deny that. Our government puts obstacles in the way that prevent us sometimes from achieving the kind of things we ought to achieve in a complete free market economy. But as a general rule of thumb, America is always somewhere where you can come to, and you can always move up from where you are. And sometimes you just got to remember that, you know, look, I mean, just for example, take this guy. 11 months ago, he was working at McDonald's and doing moonlighting as a garbage man. Now he's riding around in a carriage with the King of England, and he's going to a castle. I mean, and on top of that, he's president of the United States. I mean, you can't ask for more. I mean, look, he goes from being a McDonald's worker and a garbage man to president of the United States and hobnobbing with royalty. I mean, only in America can you do something like this. Only in America, my friends. So don't ever give up on the idea that you can achieve your dreams in this country. There you go. King Don. Well, I don't know that I'd be saying that too loudly there, Adam, because some people on the left in this country are already honked off at him. But, you know, I don't know they need to have that pump primed anymore if they've already got it. Ruben Christopher Haynes is in the chat this morning. Folks, follow this man on Twitter. Follow him on YouTube. He is cranking out some absolutely amazing content right now. So, yes, by all means, give Ruben Christopher Haynes a follow. He is absolutely spouting truth wherever he has got the platform to do it. So give this man a shout and a lifting of the glass to you, sir. Good to have you with us this morning. Oh, let's see. What else do we have in the way of the merry memes this morning? Oh, yes. Yes. You know, as I was getting the live stream ready this morning, I was thinking back over a lot of the policy disagreements. You Yeah, yes, you can be in this chat. Why would anyone not let you be in this chat? Oh, my word. Oh, hang on. We got some more people popping in on the Rumble side. Eden's Refuge has stopped in. Yes, long time no see. Glad to have you here with us. Welcome back. And a blowing of the kiss to you. Good morning. Good morning indeed. Who else is here? Did I see Scott? Yeah, there he is. Mr. Scott Awesome is in the Rumble chat this morning. Glad to have you here, sir. Glad to have you here. So yeah, it's starting to fill in quite nicely. Good to have y'all. Um, could be more than just you, brother. I'm just saying. Oh boy. Anyway, as I was thinking back to some of the recent policy disagreements we've had over the past, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, I think one of the most frustrating for me was the argument about masks. Should we wear them during COVID or any outbreak of a virus? Should we not wear them? It was very hard to have an argument about masks for a lot of different reasons. But, on a basic level, I mean, if you have two people on opposite sides of the question about masks, I mean, they really do have a hard time getting through to each other about their respective point of view. And it was hard for me to understand why. I don't understand why somebody in favor of mask mandates had such trouble, even though they were very passionate about the issue. I couldn't understand why they had such trouble communicating their ideas to people who didn't agree with them. So, and I still don't have a good answer to that question, to be perfectly honest with you. So maybe some of you guys in the chat can help me out. Why is it that people who were in favor of mask mandates, why were they having such a hard time communicating their ideas to folks like you and me? I don't know. I have no idea. But anyway, those of you out there far wiser than your host, I'm sure you have many good answers to what that might be. Anyway. All right, what else have we got going on? What else is out there? Sometimes the media, there are so many reasons to dislike modern, quote, journalism as practiced by the three major broadcast networks. Then you got CNN and, I guess, what do they call themselves now? MS Live. They used to be known as MSNBC, whatever they call themselves these days. Or the New York Times, the Washington Post, because it doesn't matter what you show them. They can't, it's like they're just dumb, okay? It doesn't matter. I mean, for example, they keep going around saying they just don't understand certain things. I mean, for example, I mean, they say they don't understand what the motives were of some of these people who've committed, certain shootings, and it just doesn't matter what kind of information you give them. They still can't get it. I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. I mean, it's like you could hand them a book and for whatever reason, they just don't seem to get it. I don't know. I just don't know, man. We need to pray for those folks out there practicing journalism. We need to indeed. Goodness me. Well, oh my gosh. Oh my word. Where have you been, you son of a gun? About time you got in here, dad blame it. Oh my goodness. Good to have you here. At least I hope you're who I think you are, because if you're not, I just really embarrassed myself. Oh, jeez. I tell you what. Good. Wait a minute. TBA just dropped something in. He arrived a bit late. He says, Mrs. TBA had me washing her kitchen rug. Well, okay, that's a perfectly legitimate reason, not to be here quite on time. That's perfectly fine. I mean, look, you have to answer to the missus for this stuff, so we get it. We get it. Let's see. You dropped something in chat. Folks, hang on a second. because at moments like this, I get excited and equally scared because I never quite know what TBA's got up his internet sleeve. Okay. Yeah, TBA, I just saw it. We're oh, yeah. This is TBA just dropped a public service announcement. And it's very wise, as you might expect, given his many years of life experience upon this planet. There are certain things that you should never do when you're drinking, and TBA is just putting out a public service announcement about what one of those things are. And you know what? I wholeheartedly concur with this piece of advice from our dear friend TBA. Ladies and gentlemen, never go and buy a dog when you're drunk. Okay? I just look, for any number of reasons, this is a bad idea. And it just doesn't work out well. That's all I can tell you. Don't do it. Don't if you're drunk, do not go and buy a dog. Okay? Like I said, and like TBA reminds everybody, there are reasons why you should not do this. It never, ever turns out well for anybody. So TBA, on behalf of Fedora Nation, we thank you for that wonderful piece of advice. Courtney's in the house this morning. Mwah! Good morning, darling. Can I pet that dog? Well, if the dog will let you pet it, Courtney, I say go for it. Well, yeah, it is kind of a cute dog. I find it very moving that it looks so pretty. Tiny Tesla's in the house this morning. Oh my goodness. Hello, darling. Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome in. TBA says the dog's name is Maury. Maury? I don't know. I don't know, man. But remember, never ever buy a dog when you're drunk. Okay. That's TBA's advice to all of us, and I wholeheartedly concur. All right. What else have we got going on out there? What else do we have to talk about? Oh, by the way, speaking of public service announcements, our dear friend Adam up in Canada just dropped a piece of really good advice. And WWG1 says, referring to that dog we saw in the picture, his name is Moonbeam. It's a hippie dog. Okay. I'm going to take your word for that one, brother. Thank you. Anyway, our dear friend Adam from Canada contributes many different things to this live stream, for which we are always and eternally thankful. And in his own way, he's also got a public service announcement. And it basically goes like this: be careful where you shop on the internet. I mean, for example, he recently purchased himself a cruise. And when he got to port, he realized that, yeah, he probably shouldn't have booked that through Temu. This might work out well. I mean, from the looks of it, he's not going to have to be concerned with seasickness, but I just don't know how much of the ocean he's going to get to see, given the ship that he'll be sailing on and the body of water on which he travels. So again, a public service announcement from the members of the Electronic Front Porch, otherwise known as Fedora Nation. Be very careful where you purchase certain things on the internet, and most certainly do not purchase a cruise off of Temu. Yeah, just saying. Z Highness says, avoid the buy now, pay later option. Well, that's a good idea too. If it's possible for you to do that, I would definitely do so. definitely I would. Oh, good. I tell you what, this audience is truly a loving and caring bunch of people. I mean, you got TBA dropping in public service announcements. You got Adam dropping in public service announcements. You know, where else can you go on the internet and get this kind of love and care from a group of people in chat in two different social media platforms? I mean, it is remarkably amazing to me. Truly it is. You can't ask for more than this. You can't. It's just, it's kind of neat. It's kind of, it's neat. It's amazing. It's such that, yeah. Y'all make me shed a tear. I love you. Anyway, WWG1 sent me something this morning, as he is a wont to do, and let me tell, and I mean this in all sincerity. I'm not about to make a joke or bust anybody's chops or anything else. There are people who contribute a lot in terms of time and effort to try to support me in what I'm doing here, and I mean what I'm about to say next in all sincerity. WWG1 has been one of the most consistent supporters of my work, be it in terms of technical suggestions or the contribution of memes or anything else. So from in all seriousness, a hat tip to WWG1 over there on Rumble. He is always bringing it. And he sent me something this morning. Well, hang on, before I get to that. Mr. Scott Awesome says, Brian, you do realize I'm in both chats. Just hop over there to say hi to Gypsy Muse and her pet Otto. Well, I should have known that was you, sir, and my apologies for not realizing it. Thank you for hopping back and forth between both places, and thank you for the Rumble rant. That is greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated indeed. But anyway, WWG1 sent me something this morning, and I don't quite know how to set this one up other than to just play it, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. This has to do with Great Britain, George Soros, and things that make you go, huh? With that, check this out, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, guys. Can I just ask what the Expect Resistance campaign is?
No idea, never heard of it.
It's on your shirt.
One more time. You want it one more time, don't you?
Hi, guys. Can I just ask what the Expect Resistance campaign is?
No idea, never heard of it.
It's on your shirt.
Oh, I see. No, yeah. That's Amnesty International.
Okay. What's it stand for? What's the movement?
I don't know. It's no, I don't know. I mean, expect resistance from Amnesty International.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let me just say this much. Let me just say this. Even though I'm on the other side of the pond, so to speak, nobody ever said that our political opponents were the sharpest knives that ever came out of the case. If you want evidence of that, there you go. Woo, baby. Woo. Yeah, we don't even know why we're here. Wow. Just wow. Holy cow. WWG1, thank you so much for that. Woo, woo. Hum baby. Goodness me. Wow. Yay. Things that make you go, dear God. Anyway. Anyway, all right, moving on. This morning, like I said, I was thinking back to different policy debates that we've had over the past, 8 to 10 years, maybe longer. And I was thinking back to, not just policy debates, but also ideas or concepts that have been introduced into the American political lexicon, not just by the right, but also by the political left. And I started thinking about the question of diversity The left is all about diversity. Diversity is a good thing. Diversity is something we need more of. And, WWG once sent me something that pretty much sums up why it is diversity is just so awesome and why it is that it's important. And you know what? This meme says so much. It's such a strength, diversity that is, that it requires constant propaganda to remind us of it and a police state to enforce it. And you know what? When you've got this kind of a political principle that has this much going for it, I tell you what, why we don't celebrate diversity more in this country, I have no idea. I really don't. I mean, look, like I said, diversity apparently is one of those things that requires so much from us. I mean, the level of propaganda that you have to engage in to convince people that it's such a great thing. And then you have, the power of the state enforcing this wonderful diversity. Man, what more of a concept do you want, folks? What more could you ask for? It's just amazing to me that we don't have more of this thing called diversity in this country, I tell you. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Again, things that make you go, wow. Oh, goodness me. What else is going on? And well, talking about the political left, you have to give them credit because it takes a lot of courage for folks who hold politically left-leaning ideas to get out there and espouse them the way they do, especially when you stop to consider what they must think they look like when they do it, or maybe what we think they look like when they do it. Because, look, public speaking is not easy. Now, me, as my family members, or more particularly my mother is fond of saying about me, I have always had the gift of free mouth. Okay. I have never had trouble telling anybody what I think. It doesn't matter how old I was. Frankly, public speaking is one of those things that's never really bothered me. Yeah, I get a little bit nervous and I get the heart flutters and everything else, but, I've never really had trouble with it. But for people on the political left, it's got to be tough. I mean, seriously, you're out there, you're trying to express what you really think about something, and you're always worried. You're worried about, how will it be received? What do people think I look like, etc. And you know what? For those that just go out there on the political left and bravely express who and what they are, you got to give them credit because honestly, if they're going to look like this and think they're right about anything at all, that takes some nerve. So let me raise my glass right now to all you lefties out there that exercise the courage of your convictions. Get out there in the public square. Listen, I don't care what you think you look like. Y'all got guts. So everybody, lift your coffee cup, your mug, your glass, whatever you got, and let's salute our brothers and sisters on the political left. Cheers. Eden's Refuge over on Rumble says, I had a debate with one of my professors circa 2007 about calling a nation known as the Melting Pot a racist nation. Really? Well, huh. Oh my goodness. Zippy says multiculturalism is a scam to protect individual will so man can find their own creator and are forced to either leave each other alone or cooperate with each other. As always, Zippy is dropping in the truly thoughtful commentary. Free mouth and the gift of gab. Well, it goes by different titles, okay? Oh, jeez. Oh, goodness me. Oh, my word. So, yeah, to all you lefties out there, y'all got a lot more courage than you realize. And maybe lack of self-awareness to go with it. Just saying. But, seriously, though, what is it like to argue with a political lefty? You know, I mean, if you're trying, I mean, let's just say, I mean, you're out at a dinner party, okay, and let's say you're hanging out with some friends of yours that you know are more politically conservative, and they ask you the question, "What is it like trying to argue with somebody who is a political lefty? They have views different than yours." And look, I'm of an older generation, grew up on a different set of ideas about public discourse, etc. I have trouble trying to describe what it's like to describe a political lefty. Well, actually, somebody came up with something, and I now think I've got a pretty good idea of how you describe somebody on the political left. And it goes like this. You guys remember the famous three monkeys? Monkey note. Yeah. Well, a fourth one has emerged, and it goes something like this. They don't see anyone, they don't hear anyone, and generally they don't speak to anyone. Now, if you want to know what it's like to describe or even have a discussion with a political lefty, ladies and gentlemen, I would argue that this right here is probably one of the best descriptors I've ever seen of what a political lefty is like. They don't see anybody, they don't listen to anybody, and if they can avoid it, they don't speak with anybody. So, so if you're out at a dinner party with your friends and you're trying to answer that question, what's it like to be a political, what's a political liberal look like? Just point them to this and your problems are solved. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Let's see. What else have we got this morning? What other contributions to this fine? By the way, in the wake of what's been happening with Jimmy Kimmel, marketing people all across this country and around the world are going into boardrooms with new presentations. No, I'm serious about this. I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's some new ideas that are being put on the table about what to do with late night TV. As a matter of fact, we got a hold of some secret discussions with one particular marketing firm that they made a presentation to a major corporation. And the idea that they pitched to him was real simple. A late night comedy show, except that it's funny. I don't know about you guys, folks, but this is a novel concept. Why in heaven's name we haven't thought about this sooner? I have no idea. It's a great notion. I hope they can pull it off. If the marketing people can make this thing work and you got a major corporation that's willing to go for it, this could be on, they could be onto something with this. They really could. They really, really could. I'll tell you. It's they might have something here, folks. But speaking of Jimmy Kimmel, and it's been rough on the poor guy for the past few days, okay? It really has been. I mean, this guy has taken a beating. And this is not to say I agree with him, okay? Don't misunderstand me here. I do not agree with Jimmy Kimmel on a lot, okay? But I got to be honest with you. From a human perspective, it's been rough on Jimmy Kimmel the past few days. But it's not all darkness and doom for the poor guy. As a matter of fact, again, how this happens, I don't know. Hasbro has reached out to Jimmy Kimmel, and they've got a concept they're trying to pitch to him for an action figure doll. They're calling it the limited edition talking dickhead. If you squeeze the head, you can hear Jimmy Kimmel scream, "Trump is a fascist!" It also comes with a need work sign. So I don't know, man. Maybe this is going to help Jimmy Kimmel out financially. I don't know. And frankly, look, listen, Jimmy, if you're listening to this live stream this morning, brother, let me tell you something. I would jump on this fast because the shifting tastes of the buying public are always very fickle. So, brother, if you're going to go for this deal, you better jump on it fast. That's all I'm saying. All right. I want to thank WWG1. I want to thank Adam. I want to thank TBA. I want to thank everybody who has contributed this morning to the Merry Memes. You guys, as always, are totally awesome. And look, I make the offer to you that I make to everybody else. And that is, if you have something that you think is a good contribution to the show, you want to get it in, you want to have some fun with it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right over here is my Twitter handle. Tag me on Twitter with it. Again, the host reserves the right to use or not use your suggested material. But if you've got a meme, a video, something that you think is truly funny, please do me a favor and drop it in. We would love to have it. We will use it if possible or permitted by the host. He has pretty broad standards, but even he has some limits. So always, please feel free to make contributions whenever and ever possible on behalf of the Merry Memes. And TBA, I saw it, and I will pop it back up on screen just for the sake of fairness. We did this one a little bit earlier. But again, remember, folks, in America, you can always achieve your dreams. You can always achieve your dreams. One day you might be a McDonald's worker. You could be a garbage man, and before you know it, you're riding around in a carriage and you're hobnobbing with royalty. Only in America does something like this happen. So there you go. Anyway, thank you as always for the Merry Memes. We genuinely appreciate it. All right, let's get into it. There is more fallout coming in over this Jimmy Kimmel firing, and let me tell you, the lefties out there are having none of it. Oh my word! This is you got a lineup. You got a lineup of folks out there, and I'm telling you what, right now they are not happy about this. And when I say a lineup of folks, we're talking about friends of Jimmy. You could be a Fodge, an FOJ, a friend of Jimmy, and man, I tell you what, the Fodges are coming out in force. Okay. Jason Bateman, by the way, I think is a great actor and very funny in and of his own right. Jason Bateman's being asked about this, and he was on the Today Show recently, and I want you to hear his comments because this is going to lead to something, and we're going to revisit this because there's more information that's come out now about what actually went down prior to Jimmy Kimmel being sacked by ABC. And folks, again, I have problems with what happened, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. My friends on the political right are using the veneer of public interest doctrine and the FCC and everything else and free market, politics. But I'm sorry, let's be honest. This was a case of cancel culture in reverse. It went the other way. As opposed to the left using cancel culture to get rid of a voice they didn't like, the right did it. Now, again, I'm going to get a lot of heat from people over this, and that's fine. That's, when I sat down behind this microphone a long time ago, I agreed to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous internet fortune. I'm going to get some heat for this one, and that's fine, but that's what happened. But laying that aside, Jason Bateman goes on the Today Show. As a friend of Jimmy, he decides to chime in on this. Ladies and gentlemen, check this out, and here we go.
Well, it's troubling to say the least, and we all have to really take a moment and figure out how we feel about this type of thing, especially people doing what you do. It's I'm sure there's going to be some sort of collective move to respond to this, but I'm not smart enough or powerful enough to be the one to do it. But I imagine there's plenty of conversations going on to do something, because you just can't stand by and let stuff like that go on.
Stuff like,
Well, Jimmy getting his show pulled for, freedom of speech.
Okay. But that sort of begs the $1 million question. Did the government pull it? Or did the free market exercise its power to have him removed? Okay. And that's part of what keeps me from totally coming down on this and saying, hey, man, we absolutely, totally, and completely engaged in cancel culture here. I'm still trying to figure out which was it. WWG1 over on Rumble says there is no freedom from consequence. Okay, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Mm-hmm. All right. Not to be outdone. Not to be outdone. The legendary Dave Letterman weighed in on this. And you would figure that somebody of Dave Letterman's stature would chime in on this. On CNN, they were having a discussion, and they played a clip of Dave Letterman making an appearance. And folks, do me a favor and let's check this out.
We all see where this is going, correct? It's managed media, and it's no good. It's silly. It's ridiculous, and you can't go around firing somebody because you're fearful or trying to suck up to an authoritarian, criminal administration in the Oval Office. That's just not how this works.
Now, Letterman was appearing at some kind of a function hosted by The Atlantic. He was being interviewed by Jeffrey Goldberg, very famously. Jeffrey Goldberg, political lefty who tried to sink the Trump administration very early on, earlier this year, when they got National Security Administration Director Mike Walls in hot water over how he was communicating certain battle plans. But anyway, so Letterman's now weighed in on this. We've now got managed media. Well, no, that's not where this is going, Dave, but okay, you can think whatever you want. Play a couple of more reactions here. I mean, and now you've got the Writers Guild. I mean, check this out. They're marching in front of ABC's offices in New York City. The Writers Guild is out protesting on behalf of Jimmy Kimmel. I'm not going to play the volume. I'm just going to play a little bit of this. But they're marching around the building like the Israelites going around Jericho. All right? Look at this. United we bargain, divided we beg. Oh my gosh, free press. Here you got another sign. Labor creates all. What in the world with you people? Bring back Jimmy. I mean, look at this. These people are just flat crazy. It's just nuts, the reaction they're having here. So anyway, you got some of that going on. I got one more clip, and then we'll get into a discussion of what actually happened behind the scenes. Okay. Then you got, oh gosh, now this is the one that just boggles the mind. I mean, the resistance is going on even on Capitol Hill. I know some of y'all are shocked to hear that. Eric Swalwell, congressman from California, he's out there chiming in on this. Look what he's doing. He's passing out Jimmy Kimmel gear. And I'm not going to play, the music's going to get me in trouble here. But yeah, Swalwell is out there. Look at what he's doing. He's passing out Jimmy Kimmel hats, I guess to his fellow congressmen and, whatever. It's like, oh, for heaven's sake, people. This is just, I mean, not that there's much that's not beneath an American politician, but even the low standards you guys have, this is beneath what you're doing. And this is a good question. Why are they fighting so hard for a guy that was bad at his job? Hold that thought, Courtney. We're going to get into how bad he was here in a minute. WWG1 has another name for Congressman Swalwell. He says Eric Swallowswell. That might even be better than Small Balls. We might be using both of those, WWG1. As always, thank you for the contribution. But you got congressmen passing out Jimmy Kimmel hats. I mean, just craziness. And then you got one more. Oh, no, I take that. I'll skip this one. But now it's getting so bad because remember how this went down, right? You've got affiliate ABC stations being fired upon. I'm not kidding about this. I got a story here from the New York Post. Check this out. Sacramento ABC affiliate hit with gunfire the day after Jimmy Kimmel protest. Article by Ariel Zilber. We've got the following. California police said Friday they were investigating reports of gunfire that hit the local ABC affiliate that was the scene of a protest a day earlier against the network's decision to suspend late-night host Jimmy Kimmel. Just after 1:30 p.m. Friday, Sacramento police responded to reports of gunfire at ABC 10, where 3 bullets ripped through a window of the TV station's Broadway headquarters, where employees were inside. Quote, responding officers observed at least 3 gunshots into a window of the building, the Sacramento Police Department said in a statement. The building was occupied, and fortunately, no one was injured. Good grief! This is insane. Now we've got gunfire going on over this thing. This is absolutely nuts. I mean, not that I'm necessarily surprised by this to the point that we are right now, but you have literally people taking gunshots at people working at an ABC affiliate. Why? There was a protest there the day before. Why were they protesting? Because Jimmy Kimmel got taken off the air by the affiliate. Holy cow. Third Railify is in the house over on the Rumble side. Good morning to you, sir. 17 George has stopped by in the Rumble chat. Oh my gosh, it's turning into a party. Woo! Baby, is it getting good. Yeah, now, I say all that to set this up, okay? To set all this up, what really did happen behind the scenes with Jimmy Kimmel, okay? What went down? Was this the government coercing? Was this the government coercing ABC into taking him off the air because they didn't like what he had to say? Or was this something else? Well, ladies and gentlemen, there are those out there on the political left that still think that this is exactly what happened. I've got Democrat strategist Julie Roginski was on CNN the other day. And before I get to this story from the Hollywood Reporter, I want to play this because you've got the left has already figured out their narrative. This is about a violation of free speech. This is about the First Amendment. This is about, absolutely trying to shut down somebody that disagrees with Donald Trump. That's what Trump is doing. Yada, yada, yada. So with that, here is Julie Roginski. Listen to this.
Well, I'm a free speech absolutist, so I think Jimmy Kimmel should be able to say whatever he wants to say, and the market can decide whether it wants Jimmy Kimmel to say it or not. In other words, if Jimmy Kimmel's ratings are awful, then Disney has every right to cancel him, but that's not why they got rid of him. They got rid
with all due respect, Miss Roginski, that's exactly why they got rid of him. I got a story here from the Hollywood Reporter, which, by the way, is no right wing rag of journalism, okay? But I got a story here from the Hollywood Reporter, and I want to put this up here because if you want to go behind the scenes of what actually happened, they've got some pretty good reporting on this, as does the Wall Street Journal. But given who the Hollywood Reporter is, if anybody's going to have a good idea what actually happened here, their folks are pretty spot on with this, okay? So let me get this up on the screen and we'll go through it. From the Hollywood Reporter, headline, How Jimmy Kimmel's Suspension Went Down. Sponsor panic, a defiant host, and a painful call. Disney's Bob Iger and Dana Walden wanted to know how Kimmel was going to address the situation. Sources say he planned to defend what he had said rather than kowtowing to the outrage. Disney thought that this would fan the flames. Article by Tony Maglio, we have the following. On Wednesday, Disney caved to pressure from various partners and benched Jimmy Kimmel live. Ultimately, the decision was Bob Iger's and Dana Walden's, but there was more leading up to it than previously reported. On Monday's episode of his long-running ABC talk show, Jimmy Kimmel mocked MAGA Republicans for scrambling to distance their own ideologies from those of Charlie Kirk's alleged murderer, Tyler Robinson. In the days that followed Kirk's murder, the left and the right were quick to point fingers at each other over Robinson's perceived political leanings. We've hit some kind of a new low, and that's this paragraph right here is the quote from Kimmel. Okay. Moving on through that article from the Hollywood Reporter, the joke kicked off a social media shitstorm. A source with information tells the Hollywood Reporter it died down temporarily. But almost immediately after FCC Chair Brendan Carr's appearance on Benny Johnson's podcast, the storm of shite became a bigger swirl. Within hours, multiple ABC stations owners held calls with senior Disney leadership expressing their concern with the comments. A second source tells the Hollywood Reporter. Inside of ABC, quote, multiple conversations with Kimmel were had at the, quote, executive level, the first person says, though the talks had not yet reached Bob Iger or TV head Dana Walden. The execs wanted to know, how was Kimmel going to address the situation on Wednesday night's show? The answer was not satisfactory to management, sources say. Meanwhile, the advertisers' calls began to roll in, and then the big affiliate conglomerates, Nexstar and Sinclair, threatened to preempt the show. The second source says the blowback was snowballing enough that the ABC, had they not acted, Kimmel's show would have been dark in a large swath of the country, even though Sinclair and Nexstar territories, even beyond the DC area. The situation became a safety issue as Disney employees saw their emails doxed. Per the first source, some even received death threats. Disney wanted Kimmel to address the situation in a way that would take the temperature down, but what he planned was going to fan the flames of the MAGA fan base, the source said. A source at Jimmy Kimmel Live counters to the Hollywood Reporter that Kimmel's planned on-air address was not, quote, going to make it worse, but he was simply not kowtowing to the outrage. Kimmel was defending what he said as grossly mischaracterized by a certain group of people, the show source said. The Hollywood Reporter reported on Wednesday that Kimmel did not plan to apologize for his comments, but did plan to address the situation on air. Talks between Kimmel and Disney ABC hit enough of a stalemate that executives decided Wednesday's episode had run out of time to be salvaged. The show's live-to-tape time was not far off. The studio audience was lined up outside, but had not been brought in. Jimmy Kimmel Live tapes at 4 p.m. Pacific, which would be 7 p.m. Eastern. At this point, 66 of the roughly 200 affiliate stations had said they would not carry the episode. That's when ABC announced it was suspending the program, a Bob Iger and Dana Walden joint decision that was a last resort. Disney's declined to comment on the situation. So that, according to the Hollywood Reporter, is exactly what went down. Bob Iger and Dana Walden, Iger is the head of Disney, Walden is the head of the ABC television division, went to Kimmel and Kimmel's producers and said, all right, what are you going to do about this? We got an absolute storm of protest going on out there. We've got advertisers complaining to us. We've got affiliates saying they will not put it on. What do you want to do? And Kimmel's like, look, I'm not going to make it worse, but I'm addressing this. Iger and Walden were not happy, and they said, axe it, pull it. Pull it. That's what went down. Now, notice in that article, the Hollywood Reporter did not say a thing about anybody in the Trump administration or the FCC making phone calls to ABC going, you guys going to take him off the air because this is a load of crap. There was no government coercion. Okay? None. At least according to the Hollywood Reporter. Take that for what it's worth. Do we know everything? Of course not. Do I know everything? Of course not. But according to the reporting of folks at the Hollywood Reporter, there was no coercion. This was a pure free market reaction to what happened. Now, should it be? Well, okay, we can have that debate. Is it cancel culture? Well, okay, we can have that debate. But as far as what it is, free market versus government coercion, this is a free market reaction. 17 George said, like I said, the FCC probably would only just got the word to investigate on their desks by that point. Fair enough. 17 George also says Trump had really nothing to do with it, but he had to speak out instead of giving it a bit of time, so now he's added a ring to the target. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. TBA says, and now the lefties are cutting their Disney subscription, says Trump, and for my next trick, I'll have the lefties defend Antifa. True enough. Lana says, small, then to reflect. Well, okay, that's true too. That's absolutely true. You know, very true indeed. Now, I think it was Courtney who asked the question, why are they defending somebody who stunk at their job? That's a fair question. That's a very fair question, by the way. And the question then becomes, well, how bad did he stink at his job? In other words, yeah, I mean, okay, maybe he wasn't necessarily always funny, but then again, was Kimmel really that bad at what he did? I don't know, folks. Let me pop something up here for your consideration. I got a story here from Forbes, okay? And let me know if you can see this. Okay, it's showing up all right. This is from Forbes. Jimmy Kimmel's ratings over the years, he was number one with young adults. Article written by, who wrote this? Tony Fitzgerald over at Forbes.com. Check this out. Jimmy Kimmel's ratings over the years have dropped, which hardly makes him unique or says anything about his popularity. The comedian, whose late-night Jimmy Kimmel live show was suspended by ABC earlier this week following fallout surrounding his comments about the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, experienced the same decline in viewership suffered by virtually everything on television. And actually, the most recent round of numbers for Kimmel were positive. He moved slightly ahead of the rival Late Show with Stephen Colbert, which CBS recently canceled, among adults 18 to 49, the key demographic for advertisers. They base their ad sales on how many viewers shows pull in that group. Now listen to this. You want to know how bad he stunk in his job? Kimmel averaged 220,000 adults ages 18 to 49 through the second quarter, 3 months that ended June 30th, according to data from Nielsen. That was 1,000 more than Colbert and marked Kimmel's strongest performance in that demo in a year. By comparison, NBC's The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon averaged 150,000 in that time, well behind Kimmel and Colbert. Ooh, I'll tell you what, if I were Jimmy Fallon, I'd start getting real nervous. If that's actually the case, and that's all he's getting, look, if you thought ABC was looking for a way to can Kimmel, NBC can't be far behind if those numbers are actually true. But anyway, back to this article. We'll read a little bit more of this. A ratings rise of any kind is notable in 2025. Here we go. And changes in viewing patterns with more people now watching streaming video than traditional television have created ratings for virtually every show on ratings for virtually every show on television. Even the most popular franchises like NCIS and Law and Order have seen ratings drop precipitously from a decade ago, even more from the 2000s when Kimmel's show debuted. So you asked the question, how bad was Jimmy Kimmel at his job? Folks, I can give you a pretty good idea, and if you don't believe me, I've got some more information about that. Got a clip here from our good friend, Benny Johnson, who, by the way, many will argue that Benny led the charge on this thing, along with others. But let me find it here real fast. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. I'm not going to play all of this necessarily, but you need to hear this because Benny was getting some behind the scenes stuff from presidents of these ABC affiliate stations, and it just kind of adds more context to the story. Sean from Third Railify says they defend Kimmel because he's a propagandist for the left. They consider him an asset for the agenda. Like I said, it's a reckoning for unfunny late night TV. Sean, you bring up an absolutely fabulous point. Let me talk about this for a second and get your guys' take on this. Okay. I mean, that article from Forbes is absolutely right. And it's not just Forbes who's commenting on it, it's other people as well. Late night TV, when you think back to its heyday, Johnny Carson, Letterman in the 80s and 90s, okay? Arsenio Hall, if you want to go back even that far, or even Jay Leno in the early 2000s. Ever since the 1950s, when I think it was either Steve Allen or Steve Parr hosted The Tonight Show on NBC, late night TV has been an absolute staple of American pop culture. Well, and I'm not trying to be, a snooty generationalist here, but times change, tastes change. The internet and live streaming, be it, the Benny Johnsons of the world or the whoever, Nerdrotic or Sean from Third Railify or me or others, live streaming and podcasts have changed the landscape, and it's affecting viewership on late night TV. Is what's happening to Jimmy Kimmel the result of cancel culture, or is it finally the free market has caught up with, institutions that folks once thought to be untouchable? The idea of CBS television not having some kind of a late show, David Letterman chaired that show for decades when he left NBC. And now, come next May, unless CBS is going to come up with something else, they're done. We don't know what ABC is going to do, although I've got a story here from Variety that I'll read to you. Apparently, there's some negotiation going on behind the scenes between ABC and Kimmel. They're trying to find a way to bring Kimmel back. This is not over with yet, folks. Okay? And we'll get to that story here in a minute. But Sean brings up a really good point. This is the final reckoning for unfunny late night television. Yeah, and Gypsy, you bring up a really good point, darling. It used to be a privilege to be on late night TV and go into people's bedrooms as they were like winding down their day, getting ready to go to bed. TBA over on Rumble says nothing is untouchable. Not anymore, anyways. True. Absolutely true, my friend. But let's get to this Benny Johnson clip to give you some perspective of what was going on his side of it. We know what was happening behind the scenes at ABC and Disney, according to the Hollywood Reporter, but I want you to hear some of this because this is a really interesting take. And with that, folks, do me a favor. I'm not going to play all five and a half minutes of this. I'll just play a part of it, but I think you need to hear some of this. Check it out.
These affiliates have reached out to me. I've taken a never-ending stream of calls from the ABC News affiliates and broadcast affiliates writ large. And those owners are telling me, thank you. We are the broadcast partners of ABC. It is our right to take the broadcast down if we do not believe it is in the public interest of our audience. ABC isn't just some type of giant monolith that just broadcasts to all 330 million homes in America. ABC News must partner with locally owned, privately owned stations. And those stations, which represent, no doubt, Trump voters The majority of them are Trump voters. Remember, you live in a country where 90% of the counties are Trump counties. Those station owners are sick to their stomach about the programming that is coming out of ABC. But they've never had the temerity or the backbone or the cultural moment to finally say, we're pulling Jimmy Kimmel's show. Till now. Here's what those owners told me, and a lot of this is going to come out, but boy, they told me some special little secrets about Jimmy Kimmel. One of the owners told me that Jimmy Kimmel's program has been like a hockey stick downward, that they can't even sell ads against Jimmy Kimmel's show because so few people watch it in the key demo and in their region, that they can't even sell like local Ford dealership ads against Jimmy Kimmel. The Ford dealership doesn't want the association. The local Ford dealership doesn't want the association. They can't sell Jimmy Kimmel's show because Jimmy Kimmel's show is such a repulsive stick in the eye to the vast majority of Americans. Now, that is a collapsing business model. That's a spiraling business model that ABC News wants to get rid of.
And if what those affiliate owners are telling Benny Johnson is true, then it kind of makes sense what's happening here. Look, the affiliates make money off selling advertising. If there are shows that ABC National is sending to them saying, hey, we want you guys to broadcast this. Okay, fine. They go out, their salespeople go out, they try to sell the advertising. If nobody wants to buy the advertising because they don't want to be associated with that particular television show, in this case, Jimmy Kimmel, then the affiliates have a problem. They can't make money. Yeah, public interest. Now, in this case, maybe not so much public interest, but public money. They're trying to make a buck. You can't blame the local affiliates. If nobody in their town wants to buy advertising that would run during the Jimmy Kimmel Live, okay, they got a problem. The local affiliate cannot make money. And lay aside the question of the money. And again, this is one conversation, a set of conversations that's being funneled through Benny Johnson. I'm not saying Benny's lying, so please don't misunderstand me, but this is just one perspective on it. But if what Benny Johnson is being told is true, and they've been sick for years of the content, lay aside the question of the ability to sell advertising, okay? If they've just been sick of like, this guy is pissing off all the people that we're broadcasting to, we've got, and ABC is shoving this down our throat, and there's nothing they can do about it. And finally they said, we've had enough. Like I say, where this whole situation is concerned, there are so many different permutations and angles to it. It is just absolutely fascinating on so many levels. Okay? It really is. And again, was this censorship by the government, or was this the free market saying finally, to blazes with it, we've had enough. We're done, and now we're going to react to it. And give Benny a lot of credit. And not just Benny Johnson, but a bunch of other people. They finally exercised the power that they had. I was watching a video the other day by a great content creator. Actually, one of the people that inspired me to start my channel, Eric July. Goes by the handle Young Ripa. Fantastic broadcast, fantastic live streamer, amazing entrepreneur. And he made a statement that if this mentality became widespread inside of the political right in this country, okay, and that's a pretty broad swath I'm using here, but let's just broadly speaking. Eric July's idea goes like this. The right has more political power than or not even political, more power than it realizes. It keeps trying to argue with the left. We want you to like us. We want you to agree with us. We just wish you'd see it our way. Why won't you do that? As opposed to saying, forget you. You're unredeemable in some respects. We're going to go out here and create our own thing. We're going to use our own economic power, and we're going to create a culture that rivals yours, and let the free market decide which one of us survives. He's right. This is the purest example of that. The free market stood up and said, enough. You crossed a line here, buddy, and we're not going to let you get away with it. Advertisers start calling ABC executives and saying, are you kidding me with this right now? I couldn't sell buttered bread because of Jimmy Kimmel. ABC is going to, Kimmel's people saying, what is Jimmy going to do to tap this down? They're like, we're not doing anything to tap it down. We'll address it, but we're not tapping down anything. And finally, ABC went, okay, that's it. Ixnay. We're done. But maybe not completely. I got a story here from Variety Magazine. And like I say, I don't think this is over where our friend Jimmy Kimmel is concerned. Let me pop this up on screen for you guys. Apparently, there's some negotiations going on backstage, if I may use that term, between Kimmel and ABC Disney to bring him back. From Variety, Jimmy Kimmel and Disney working to reach compromise to bring back his show. Insiders caution there's no agreement in sight, but discussions continue as Kimmel weighs concerns about staff job losses if the show ends. Article by Cynthia Littleton and Brian Steinberg. We got the following. Jimmy Kimmel and Disney are working toward reaching a compromise that would allow Jimmy Kimmel Live to return to ABC. The veteran host's business and legal representatives are deep in discussions with Disney and ABC leaders in the hope of finding a path to compromise that would allow for the return of Jimmy Kimmel Live, according to people with knowledge of the situation. The host has made no public comment since the show was abruptly pulled from the regular 11:35 p.m. time slot on September 17th, with Disney saying only that the program would be off its schedule indefinitely after one of the biggest owners of TV stations in the U.S., Nexstar, said it intended to preempt airings of the program following remarks the host made in relation to Trump and the slaying conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Sinclair, another large station owner, said it was taking Kimmel off of its stations. Kimmel has hosted ABC's late night franchise since 2003, and in recent years became a key face on the network as the host of, quote, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the Academy Awards, and other specials. Okay, I want to talk about this for a second. I think this is one of those whistling past the graveyard moments. I think this is a shot in the dark, whatever you want to call it. I don't see this happening. Okay? I really don't. Oh, I can see Kimmel and his people trying to find a way to get the show back on the air, but I don't see it happening. And let me tell you why. And again, you guys chime in here. If I'm wrong, tell me. The reason why I don't think this is going to happen, look, Jimmy Kimmel's contract, his contract at the absolute latest expires May of 2026. The guy was making, according to reports, it was Lana who found the number, $16 million a year. Okay, he signed an extension back in 2022 for 3 years, $48 million. You're talking $16 million a year. The ratings for this show are in the toilet. Okay, are in the absolute toilet. Nobody wants to watch this guy. You cannot sell advertise. Again, if Benny Johnson is being told correctly, local affiliates cannot sell advertise. They couldn't sell buttered bread to advertise against Jimmy Kimmel's show. So you can't make money. The local affiliates can't make money. Disney's paying this guy $16 million a year. The ratings are in the toilet. He's getting mouthier all the time. Again, his right to say whatever he wants. Okay, no one's stopping him. I just don't see ABC, Disney bringing this guy back. I mean, yeah, he's hosted other shows for them, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. He's hosted the Academy Award show, which again, nobody watches. Why would you bring this guy back? ABC, and we talked about this Thursday night, ABC has been handed a absolute gift on a silver platter. They've been trying to find a way to get rid of this guy. Now they've got it. In 10 seconds, he did more to help ABC unload a $16 million contract than anybody ever could have done for them. Third Railify says, Kimmel is a cockroach. He will not be easy to dispatch. Now, I agree with that, Sean. Sean also goes on to say, on the Rumble side, they are likely taking this opportunity to renegotiate the contract so they lose less money, and also putting in various clauses telling them to keep the rhetoric and the divisiveness to a minimum. Possible. But again, I mean, look, even if Kimmel is trying to renegotiate this, and again, I could be dead wrong in this perception, okay? But even if Kimmel is trying to renegotiate this thing, ABC, all they have to do is wait the guy out. It's September right now. October, November, December, January, February, March, April. 8 months. All they've got to do is wait him out 8 months, and it's over. They win. Everything from a negotiating standpoint, everything right now is on the side of ABC Disney. All they've got to do is wait this guy out. He rings them up on the phone. They don't take the phone call. He stops by the office. They don't let him in. There is no reason for ABC Disney to let this guy back on the air and pay him that kind of money. Now, maybe you're right. Maybe they're trying to renegotiate the contract so it doesn't cost them quite as much to get him off the air. That's possible. But again, why would you even want to renegotiate with the guy? There's no reason to. There's no upside for ABC Disney to bring this guy back. I think this article from Variety is somebody putting it out there, trying desperately to get Kimmel back on the air. I really do. I think that's what's going on here. So, yeah, this thing's not over yet, but my Lord, has this thing got all kinds of interesting permutations to it. Absolutely amazing. Just amazing to me. And again, I want to remind Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, I think it was named Oliver over on HBO. Let me remind you, gentlemen, of something. Let me remind you of something, old wisdom from old timers. As a matter of fact, let me remind you of the wisdom of the man who really made your industry. From the legendary Johnny Carson.
Do you get sensitive about the fact that people say, he'll never take a serious controversy? Well, I have an answer to that. I said, now, tell me the last time that Jack Benny, Red Skelton, any comedian, used his show to do serious issues. That's not what I'm there for. Can't they see that? But why do they think that just because you have a Tonight Show that you must deal in serious issues? It's a danger. It's a real danger. Once you start that, you start to get that self-important feeling that what you say has great import. And strangely enough, you could use that show as a forum. You could sway people, and I don't think you should as an entertainer.
Again, this is the man that made your industry. If you don't have Johnny Carson for, 30 years? 30 years on air, the legacy of what that man did for you guys, you will never understand, and most certainly you don't appreciate it. It just is yeah, and you're Kwan, you're absolutely right. Nobody watches them. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Technology's part of it. Changing tastes are part of it. But part of it is they've done it to themselves. They're just not funny. And had they adhered to the advice that Johnny Carson laid down, it wasn't even really advice. It was just his mode of operation. If they had adhered to that and remembered that's the standard, maybe they're not in nearly all the trouble they're in right now. You know, it just really, they are where they are, hoist by their own petard. Truly. And speaking of old timers, even a name that some people in this audience are not even going to recognize, but some of y'all will. Even Pat Boone, at 91 years old, gave Jimmy Kimmel a piece of advice that he ought to remember. And you know what? I found this clip. 91 years old, Pat Boone, singer, television performer. The man's career has spanned the better part of, 6 or 7 decades? At 91 years old, Pat Boone goes on TikTok. The irony in that, to me, is hysterical. But Pat Boone goes on TikTok and gives a piece of advice to Jimmy Kimmel. I'm going to play this because it's just, no, he's not dead. 17 George over on Rumble says, I thought Pat Boone was dead. No, he's not dead. He's not dead. And talk about a bridge to generations. I mean, Johnny Carson's talking about Jack Benny and Red Skelton and others. Pat Boone knew those guys as a very young man. So talk about somebody with perspective and the bridging of generations. Folks, you guys have got to hear this. Check it out.
Jimmy. Your buddy Pat Boone, though we actually haven't met yet, though I've spent many hours enjoying your wit and your ability to interview and interact with almost anybody except Brad Pitt for some reason. I don't know what that's about. But gradually, you and Stephen Colbert have increasingly abused your freedom of speech. I don't know if you're aware of that. You thought you could infect the airwaves and consciences of millions of watchers without regard to their differing and actually opposite views and beliefs, while networks and sponsors were paying you millions to entertain, amuse, and help them end their days feeling good. You've chosen to infect and insult the intelligence, strongly held political views and convictions, and increasing instances, actual facts, with your very personal freedom to say whatever you want on the public airwaves. Well, you still have that precious freedom, Jimmy, and I'm sure you're still vehemently employing it to anybody who wants to hear what you have to say right now. But say whatever you choose to Bill Maher or Howard Stern or other programs whose sponsors profit from and share your views. But learn that networks and sponsors who pay dearly to reach viewers who don't share your views and are seriously offended by them to continue to pay a significant price to give you the platform to their own detriment. You're still perfectly free to say anything you want anywhere you choose, but freedom isn't free. As you're finding out shockingly, there is a responsibility that comes with it and consequence from its misuse. And that's why it's so precious. So shout on, speak your views publicly in the streets without fear, but don't expect to be paid millions when you bite the hand that feeds you. I love you, buddy. Pat.
Now, folks, say what you want, and that's fine. If you don't like Pat Boone, totally, I understand. Not everyone's cup of tea. Matter of fact, some people didn't even know this cup of tea was around. Yeah, Quan, that's a great point. When you've lost Pat Boone, you've lost America. But he's right. Jimmy Kimmel still has the right to say whatever he wants, but that doesn't necessarily mean that ABC has to give him the platform to do it. TBA over on Rumble says network TV is on its last legs. podcasting is now the norm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Sean from Third Railify is on Rumble about what, 4 or 5 nights, maybe 6 nights a week. I mean, he is out, and I'm not just saying this to, to blow smoke up his pant leg, but he's here in the audience. I mean, he's a perfect example. Here's a guy who's out there busting it 5 or 6 nights a week, having fun, hanging out with friends, talking about whatever the heck is going on. And he's starting to build himself an audience. 6 nights a week. Okay, I stand corrected. 6 nights a week. Sean from Third Railify is up there in Canada doing his thing. I'm on here, 3 nights out of 7, or 3 evenings out of 7, or 3 days out of 7. You got the quartering, you got Benny Johnson, you got Tim Pool, you got Crowder, name somebody. Okay. And yes, you are on the air. Sean, you are on the air 10 p.m. Eastern until the wheels fall. I'll give you a plug, man. You know I will. I'll plug that program of yours. Yeah. D-Day Cobra, Nerdrotic, Eric July, Young Ripa, Ryan Kimmel, Chrissy Mayer, The Critical Drinker. I could go on and on and on and on with the names of live streamers, Megan Kelly, Mark Halpern, Tucker Carlson. I could go on and on and on with the names of people. Gothic, great example. You gotta love Gothics. Carrie Smith from Deprogram, Mike Harlow, The Indian Jesus, Christian Watson, Ruben Christopher Haynes, on and on and on. We are the new media. And that's also a lot of what factors into this. TBA says there are millions of people who are podcasting now. Absolutely. And you know what? Absent government coercion, let the free market have its way. Look, I'm still working, trying to make the product that I produce here as good as it can be, which, by the way, the cavalry's coming. Sean, brother, I just ordered me a new computer, and it's not as good as some people's, but let me tell you something. Compared to, the tin can and string operation that I've got right now, this is going to be an upgrade. But, I'm still working, trying to make the product that I produce here for you guys as good as it can be. I know it's got some technical problems, most of it having to do with equipment, among other things. But I'm working to try to make what I do something valuable that you guys, okay, be nice. Yeah, I know, but there were reasons why. I can't get into them, but Anyway, Third Rail. Oh, what is it? I need to know. All right, fine. One moment, please. I was going to save this as a surprise, but since my free mouth has now got me in trouble, I'll tell you what kind of a computer I got. I picked up something from Meta PCs. Yeah, I'm not under any contractual obligation to shill for those guys. I'm just telling you what I got. Sean, you want to know what kind of computer I've recently picked up? One moment, please. I'll give you the specs on it. It's got an AMD Ryzen 5 7600 processor. It's got an AMD Radeon RX 9060 XT graphics card, and it's got 32 gigabytes of memory. Okay, so that's what I got. I seem to think that that's a good purchase, but we'll find out. No, I did not buy a flat screen. I didn't get that kind of technological upgrade. Now, wait a minute. Compared to what I'm working with, it's a definite upgrade. I've got certain financial constraints here, buddy. Bless my heart. Jeez. Wow. Here, I thought I made a good purchase. Anyway. But yes, cavalry's coming. So yeah, I'm trying to work to improve the product that I'm doing. But and I want to get better and better at this, and let the free market have its way here. So yeah, all kinds of, Yeah, I am. I'm getting hammered today. That got it. Thank you. I don't feel quite so bad. WWG1 says, Brian may be a cheap bastard, but he's our cheap. You know, it's that kind of sentimentality, WWG1, that makes you such an invaluable member of this audience. Third Rail says, that'll do, pig. That'll do. I thought it was a pretty good upgrade. It's going to be here end of next week. And then I've got to transfer everything off the laptop over to the programs and the data and the everything else. But yeah, hopefully it's going to be you know, a nice techie upgrade. So yeah. But anyway, this is what's going on with Kimmel. Those are the latest updates. And by the way, before we shift to the new topic, since I have so many technical wizards here in the live stream right now, I need some information. Okay. Since I've got Sean here and WWG1, Kawan, among other people, I need you guys to help me figure out how to do something. Now that is untoward, TBA. I do not pinch a penny until it screams like my old Aunt Gracie. That is untoward, sir. Goodness me. I want to know how old Brian's hat is. My purchase was made about 3 years ago. Thank you very much. So there. Eden's Refuge says, I prefer the term thrifty. Thank you. Anyway, I need help with something, and I've been trying to figure out how to do this, which is part of the reason why Tuesday night's live stream is gonna be on Rumble Studio. Okay. For example, I can show comments like, get out of my wallet. You know, I can show comments like, you know, where I'm being accused of being a cheap bastard. I can show them when I'm in StreamYard. Okay. I can show you YouTube comments. And if someone comments from Twitter, I could show you that. Okay. But I cannot show Rumble comments in StreamYard. I don't know how to do that. Supposedly there's some way to do it, but I don't know how to do it. Okay. So my question is for you techie folks out there, how do I get Rumble comments like the ones I'm reading right now, calling me budget conscious? How do I get them to show up in StreamYard? Okay. How do I do that? Or if I'm on Rumble Studio, how do I get all three of my chats, be it Rumble, YouTube, or Twitter, to show up in Rumble Studio? I'd like to kind of make this, you know, because I can pop these comments, you know, up on the air, but I can't, you know, incorporate my friends over there on Rumble. I try to do it as much as I can, but I don't know how to do it. So for you techie wizards out there that know how to make all three chats show up in such a way that I can highlight them and pop them up on the screen at the same time, will you please message me on Twitter or wherever and show me how to do this? I mean, look, I said the other day, I would love to get rid. Third Railify says you need to put your Rumble API into StreamYard. How do you do that? I love you, Remember, you're talking to a technological Neanderthal, okay? I don't know how to do that. I've heard about this magic API thing. I don't know how to do it. If you can show me how to do it, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to get rid of StreamYard because it costs me more money than I really want to pay. But I don't mind paying it if I can make this happen. Okay. Well, now I got a link from WWG1 here. Okay, hang on. I will copy that link and take a look at it later, sir. Much thanks. But anyway, that's my challenge to you tech wizards out there. If you can find a way for me to do this, for the love of God, will you please give a technological Neanderthal some help? Because I would love to be able to be in StreamYard or Rumble Studio, have all three of my chats there, pop them up on screen, and make what I do here more efficient and hopefully more engaging for the audience. That is my cry in the wilderness. Anyway, no, when you're done with your show, I can hop on and literally walk you through it. I will send you a link, Sean. I don't know how long you'll be able to hang around or how long we're going today, but yeah, I will gladly send you that. Okay. All right. Let us move to a different compartment of the train now that I have gotten my tech frustrations out of my system. Okay. All right. Did you guys hear about the resolution that went through the House of Representatives yesterday trying to honor Charlie Kirk? Now, I say trying to honor because the resolution passed. It was a simple, non-binding resolution. This is something that's very common in the U.S. House of Representatives. It carries no weight of law behind it. It doesn't require any changes to public policy. It's just simply the House of Representatives being an expression of the voice of the American people, making a statement about a particular subject. Okay, and Lord knows you can come up with almost any example of what that looks like. But the House tried to pass, and did, by the way, they did pass it. They passed a resolution honoring the life of Charlie Kirk, but not without, I can't even believe I'm saying this, not without Democrat opposition. Okay? And it's part of that opposite. It's an angle looking at that opposition that I want to talk about. So let's start with an article from thehill.com, which kind of talks about this. And I won't read all of it. I will give you the highlights. Okay. From thehill.com, we have the following. 38 Democrats vote present as House adopts resolution honoring Charlie Kirk. Article by Emily Brooks and Mike Lillis, we have the following. The House of Representatives adopted a resolution honoring the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk and condemning political violence in a largely bipartisan vote Friday that appeared to prove difficult for Democrats. Oh, it didn't appear to prove difficult. It was difficult. The vote was 310 to 58, with 95 Democrats supporting the resolution, which was brought forward by Speaker Mike Johnson 9 days after Kirk, a conservative activist, was fatally shot during an open-air rally in Utah. 38 Democrats voted voted present, and 58 voted no. It was a politically tough vote for Democrats who do not want to celebrate Kirk's politics, but have vehemently condemned the shooting and did not want to be seen as sympathizing with political violence. Okay, I want to talk about this for a second. I have a question for all you elected Democrats out there on Capitol Hill that are in the U.S. House of Representatives. Okay? What the heck is politically difficult about this? What the heck is politically difficult about this? You're honoring the memory of a man who died, not just died, was shot dead, assassinated. Yes, let's use the word appropriately. The man was assassinated. He was a political leader who was assassinated. In that respect, Charlie Kirk is no different than Martin Luther King Jr. Oh, I can just hear it now. There are heads popping off all over the internet on that comment when this broadcast gets seen later on, okay? What the heck is so hard about this? A 31-year-old young man was gunned down in cold blood. And although you may not have agreed with his politics, you can't, there's about 95 to 100 of you Democrats out there, you cannot even bring yourself to vote yes on a resolution saying we honor the passing of this man's life. And if you want an example of just how, I can't even come up with a word for this, how just absolutely just stuck in the mud these Democrats are in their hatred and opposition of anything they don't agree with. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the mind and the voice of the modern Democrat Party, took to the floor of the U.S. House and said the following.
The majority proceeded with a resolution that brings great pain to the millions of Americans who endured segregation, Jim Crow, and the legacy of bigotry today. We should be clear about who Charlie Kirk was. A man who believed that the Civil Rights Act that granted Black Americans the right to vote was a mistake.
I'm going to come back to that here in just a minute, but let's finish this.
Who, after the violent attack on Paul Pelosi, claimed that, quote, some amazing patriot, unquote, should bail out his brutal assailant, and accused Jews of controlling, quote, not just the colleges, it's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it, unquote. His rhetoric and beliefs were ignorant, uneducated, and sought to disenfranchise millions of Americans, far from the working, quote, working tirelessly to promote unity, unquote, asserted by the majority in this resolution.
You can't even be gracious to the young man in death. They haven't even had the memorial service. Just, you, Alexandria, you can't even keep your mouth shut long enough to even attempt to be gracious to the young man and his family, his widow and his children, except that you've got to get in front of a microphone or behind a microphone and just let go with this, among other comments that you have made or will make. Eden's Refuge over on Rumble says it best. They'll kneel for George Floyd and they won't honor a good man, but they will glorify a criminal. Eden's Refuge, chef's kiss. That is perfect. They'll kneel for George Floyd, but they won't honor a good man, and they will glorify a criminal. Preach it, sister. Amen. Preach it, sister. Unbelievable. You said it about her. I didn't. I ain't getting in that water. I mean, now I play this quote for you. I play this quote. If anyone thinks that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is somehow an isolated example of the modern Democrat Party, you're wrong. I love you, but you're wrong. She's not. When I said that she is the voice of the voice of thought in the modern Democrat Party, I'm not far off from this. Oh, I have no doubt about that. None. Sean from Third Railify says she's not allowed to be gracious in death as she'll be seen as an apostate by her own radical followers. But what does that say about where we are? And when I say we, I'm not necessarily talking about 74 million people got their heads screwed on straight for the most part. I'm talking about these wackos on the left. I mean, you disagree with somebody's ideas so badly you can't even be gracious to them and their passing? Yeah, I know. I need to go back and rehear it. I need to go back and listen to it again. Yeah. Yeah. The act right on that model was definitely not fully installed. You got that right, sister. But I play this to show you she's not an isolated example of what the Democrat Party has become. She's really not. And by the way, this thing about Charlie Kirk saying the civil rights movement was a mistake, what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is referring to is a speech that Charlie Kirk gave in 2023 at Turning Point. But she's not giving you the full context. What he said was, and this is from a website that's anthonydelgado.net, what Charlie was arguing at the time was that the act created a permanent, and these are Charlie's words, created a permanent DEI type of bureaucracy and led to, quote, weak courts that eroded First Amendment protections. According to Anthony Delgado's take on this, Charlie was trying not to critique the principle of racial equality, but he was talking about the bureaucratic and cultural consequences of the Civil Rights Act decades later. Okay? That's what Charlie was referring to. But again, don't be surprised that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is taking his comments out of context. She's trying to score political points off a dead man. And what is this leading to, you ask? Where is this taking the modern Democrat Party? You know, it's taking it to places, you know, that it shouldn't go. And by the way, if Charlie Kirk was such a hater of minorities and African Americans, then why don't you try and explain this one? The day before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he reached out to someone and wanted this particular person to come on his show on Real America's Voice Network. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to this from Van Jones of CNN.
His murder and some unexpected outreach that Kirk made the day before his death had resonated with our CNN colleague Van Jones. The story begins when a Ukrainian woman was fatally stabbed last month in North Carolina. The suspect is a black man, and Charlie Kirk and Van got into a public sparring match online. Kirk claimed the murder happened because she was white. Van denounced that as completely unfounded. Kirk then sent out what Van calls a fire hose of tweets challenging his argument, which Van says sparked death threats against him. In the midst of all of this, Kirk reached out to Van in a direct message on X. Hey, Van, I mean it. I'd love to have you on my show to have a respectful conversation about crime and race. I would be a gentleman, as I know you would be as well. We can disagree about the issues agreeably. Now, that message was sent on September 9th. Van says he did not see it until the very next day after Kirk was murdered. Van Jones just wrote a piece about this for CNN.com and is here tonight. I mean, this is extraordinary. So this was received the day before he was killed.
Yeah. Look, I mean, we were beefing. We were going at it online, on air. And then after he died, after he was murdered, my team called and said, Van, he was trying to reach you, man. What? And what was he doing? Dialogue. Let's be gentlemen together. He says, let's disagree agreeably.
I have a question for Anderson Cooper of CNN.
So I'm sitting on this.
Wait
a minute.
I have a question for Anderson Cooper of CNN. What is so extraordinary about this? What's extraordinary about it? This is what Charlie Kirk did. You know, the man, according to AOC, who hates African Americans and other minorities. Charlie Kirk wanted to, hey, Van, come on the show. Let's talk about this. I happen to think that she was killed because she was white, which, by the way, is what the killer said. I got that white girl. Those are his words, not anybody else's. Van Jones on to say, no, it's not true. Charlie invited him on. What's extraordinary about this? Sean from Third Railify on Rumble says, what's extraordinary about it is that the left doesn't do it. Oh, you mean actually have conversations and an exchange of ideas? Oh, you're absolutely right, brother. The left finds it shocking that the man that they're trying to paint as a racist actually wanted to have a conversation with a black man. How far out of step are you guys? How blind are you? Good God. How bad off are you that you find it extraordinary that somebody from the other side wants to have a conversation with a minority? Sweet Lord, help these people. Just incredible. And it's stuff like this. It's stuff like this that makes you understand why it is that the Democrat Party is slipping away in terms of relevance and power. I've got a clip here from former U.S. Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat from West Virginia. My home's, full disclosure, my home state. TBA over on Rumble says, Brian, the left is committing suicide. Get out of the way, for God's sake. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, my friend. They're absolutely committing suicide here, politically speaking. Let me clarify that. You're right. And the thing is, there are people who are Democrats who are recognizing this. I got a clip here of Joe Manchin on CNN. You got to hear this. Listen to this.
She does say that we should be clear about who Charlie Kirk was, a man who believed that the Civil Rights Act that granted Black Americans the right to vote was a mistake. She goes on to name some of the other things that he believes in. What was your reaction to her vote and her statement afterward?
First of all, I just saw it a little while ago, and I was stunned, Casey. I really was. This is not the place and the time for that at all. If the Democrats, if AOC and the far left, the extreme left, I'm going to say, believe that's where the party, the Democratic Party, is today, then that'll tell you why you lost people like me, and an awful lot. And let me tell you what you've lost since the last election. They've been doing their national tour and thinking, boy, that's something. We're really getting into something. The Democratic Party has lost more than 160,000 Democrats that have basically left the party since November election. So if that's the way the Democratic Party is going, it's getting worse, not better.
And Joe Manchin is absolutely right. And believe me, I've got my disagreements with Joe Manchin, but Joe Manchin comes from, if you don't know anything about West Virginia politics, Joe Manchin comes from a political family, okay, that has served in West Virginia politics for decades. His uncle, A. James, was a state treasurer, among other things. A colorful character. So colorful, in fact, I think he did some jail time. But anyway, you get my point, okay? But Joe Manchin and all the members of his family, like a lot of West Virginia Democrats, are moderates, okay? They're not the AOCs. They're not the Nancy Pelosi's. They're not the Talibs or Omars of the modern Democrat Party. No, they're moderate down the middle. I mean, there's some issues you can find agreement with them. Some issues you can't. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we had a Rockefeller in the Senate, for heaven's sake. You know, I mean, look, my state, like a lot of places in the South, and my state may have been, I don't think it's the case anymore. We may have been the last bastion holdout of moderate Democrats, old blue dogs. And Joe Manchin brings up something, and I have not really mentioned this much, but because there are other channels out there right now that are really talking about this. Red Eagle Politics, Real American. These guys are really good channels, and I highly recommend them to you. But they've noticed the trend, and so have guys like Rich Barris, Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen, everybody, there is a decided drift, and it's been getting worse for the Democrats since the November election. They're bleeding voters. Let me say that again. The Democrat Party, depending on which state you're talking about, are bleeding registration. You have people who have been Democrats for decades who are going to their county courthouses. They're changing their registration. I'm not necessarily saying they're all becoming Republicans, because frankly, I don't think the Republicans have earned their vote yet. Okay? But they're either leaving the Democrat Party and going independent, or they're going non-affiliated. And this is all Pennsylvania, North Carolina, other states around the country. Now, I don't know if the number is 160,000 like Joe Manchin says, but it's there. You don't believe me? Go look at the numbers for yourself. And the Democrats can't understand why they can't win elections. Joe Manchin's trying to tell you. Other Democrats are trying to tell you, you've got to stop this. You're not going to do it. Because the Democrat Party, as it's been understood, has now been hijacked by the likes of AOC, Rashid Tlaib, Omar, and so many other Raskin, Swalwell, Schiff. Name the Democrat you want to. The party's been hijacked. TBA over on Rumble says Manchin got out just in time. They're probably closer to Kennedy Democrats. All those old blue dogs are now ruby red MAGA America first. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. You ain't wrong. You're not wrong. You're absolutely right, Kawan. Yeah, we had Robert Byrd, old Sheets himself. We've had our cast of characters. Some of them weren't good, but laying aside some of their, shall we say, picadillos, you talk about Democrats on the whole in the state of West Virginia, they're moderates. And it's not just West Virginia. North Carolina used to be this way. Tennessee used to be this way. Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, other states, Missouri. And AOC's comments and these people that voted, 95 of these Democrats that couldn't bring themselves to vote on a simple resolution honoring a man who'd been assassinated. They're wondering why they're losing the American people. Go look in the mirror. You're your own worst enemy. And it's just, it's not, lay aside the politics of it. It's just the inhumanity of the way they're acting. There's a line, I saw a meme the other day, and it's a line from Pirates of the Caribbean. And if you remember part of the plot of that movie, the crew of the Black Pearl and their captain, Barbosa, had gotten a hold of some Aztec gold that was cursed. And until they recovered every coin of it, they would be under this curse. And the curse was this. They couldn't eat anything and enjoy it. They couldn't drink anything and enjoy it. They couldn't touch another human being or any physical thing and enjoy it. They were basically ghosts. And the meme is Barbosa making the statement, you better get used to a nightmare because you're in one. Or they modified it for the meme and said, you better get used to demons. And you see Barbosa in this skeleton-like frame, you're looking at one. That's what the Democrat Party is right now. It's a party of demons that have lost their humanity. They've lost the ability to be human or even just basically decent, all in the name of politics and ideology. And it's a crying shame. It really is. It really is. All right. Let's move on to some other things. Some HodgePodge stew items. Before I get to those, did you guys see what the CDC is doing? I'm going to try and get through these real fast because we're up against 12:30 right now, and we could wind up. Good God, I could keep on going for another hour. So I'll try and whip through these things real fast because I know you guys have a life, and Sean's graciously offered to talk to me about my current tech problems. But anyway, did you guys see what the CDC is doing under the leadership of Robert Kennedy? For those of you that I know. That's part of why I'm trying to get out of here, brother, or get you guys out of here anyway. TBA says Mrs. TBA has more chores for me, so I got to skate. I understand. Some of this I might save for Tuesday night. I've been trying to get to it all week, but Lord have mercy. Yeah, you guys might be interested in this. For those of you that follow these issues pretty closely, from NBC News. CDC advisory panel recommends restricting access to the MMRV vaccine. The panel said that the vaccine, which includes protections against chickenpox, should not be given to children under the age of 4 because of a small risk of febrile seizures in younger children. Article by Aria Bendix, Erica Edwards, Berkeley Lovelace Jr. What a name. Woo! And Liz Szabo. We got the following. A closely watched advisory panel to the CDC voted Thursday to tweak recommendations for a measles vaccine that includes protections against varicella or chickenpox virus. Continuing with that same article, the new guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Advisory Committee on Immune Practices, or ACIP, suggests the vaccine known as MMRV, which is measles, mumps, rubella, and varicella, shouldn't be recommended for children under the age of 4 because of a small risk of febrile seizures in that age group. The seizures can be prompted by fevers associated with viruses or sometimes the vaccines themselves. They usually last for a few minutes, and while they are scary for parents to witness, are generally harmless, doctors say. Well, if they're so daggone harmless, how come this new panel that Bobby Kennedy has put together is voting to recommend that you don't give it to kids under the age of 4. Something for everybody to think about. Yeah. I noticed that too. Small risk, they say. Oy vey. All right, one more story related to this. And this is the one that everybody's sort of been waiting for. Big time, actually. From ABC News. CDC panel abandons COVID vaccine recommendations, saying it's a personal choice. By Sunny Zalzman, Well McDuffel, and Dr. Jade Coburn, we got the following. A panel of vaccine advisors on Friday voted to abandon its previous universal recommendation for annual COVID-19 vaccine shots for anyone 6 months and older, with the committee unanimously voting to instead suggest that Americans can get the shot, quote, based on individual-based decision-making, meaning it's a personal choice. The Department of Health and Human Services told ABC News federal vaccine programs will continue to cover the CDC's and prevention policies, and many major insurers that would continue to cover the cost of vaccines through at least 2026, no matter how the committee voted this week. So, folks, the universal recommendation is gone. It's now your personal choice whether you get the COVID vaccine or not. My argument is 5 or 6 years too late. No, I did not see this. She just mandated it for everybody in Arizona. Wow. Just wow. WWG1 says, if the CDC doesn't recommend it anymore, there goes the immunity. You know, I hadn't thought about that, WWG1, but you may be right, my friend. That could get real interesting from a legal standpoint. TBA says, I heard that California mandated the vaccine as well. Could be they're getting ahead of this thing. One last story, and I'll let you guys get out of here, and I'll save the rest of this for Tuesday night. And then I'm going to send out an invite to Sean if you're still out there. But did you guys hear what happened the other night at Bobby Kennedy's house in Georgetown? Man, this is just straight crazy. But of course, no one's going to comment on it. Apparently, there was a bomb threat. There was a bomb threat made to Bobby Kennedy Jr. This is from Newsmax. Bomb threat at RFK Jr.'s Georgetown home. Don't know who wrote this up for Newsmax, but I'll read it to you guys. Authorities are responding to a bomb threat at the Washington, D.C. residence of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in Georgetown on Friday. Police K-9 units have been deployed, and the home and surrounding areas are being searched and cleared. Officials say that, as of now, no explosive devices have been found. The scene remains active while the investigation continues. Further details, including who made the threat or whether it was deemed credible, have not yet been released. Kennedy has faced bipartisan backlash in recent weeks after sweeping changes at the CDC and prevention. Kennedy removed the entire vaccine advisory panel and installed new members who voted to drop the combined MMRV shot for young children and scale back universal recommendations on the COVID-19 and hepatitis B vaccine recommendations. So yeah, Bobby Kennedy got a bomb threat at his house in Georgetown. Yeah, peaceful, fun-loving times in which we live. All right. It's 12:35. Let's get you guys out of here, and I will save some of the rest of these stories for Tuesday night for the newsroom. Again, as always, thank you so very much for being here, and you guys are totally awesome. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for hanging around, for the memes, the Rumble rants, the super chats, the laughs, the jibes. All of it is greatly, greatly appreciated. For me, this has been a very fun live stream this morning. A lot of fun to put together. So we will be back. Yes, hit the thumbs up on your way out. It would be greatly appreciated. Leave a comment in chat. Leave a comment on the live stream, please. Be it on Rumble or YouTube. It's always appreciated. This has been a load of fun. A lot of information. I mean, anybody who says there's nothing to talk about on a live stream, that person just needs smacked. We will not be on Rumble only. Let me clarify this. I'm glad you asked me about this, Gypsy. I am going to be using Rumble Studio. Okay. The live stream will still be on YouTube and Twitter. I'm just using a different mechanism to broadcast. Okay. I want to do my goal, ideally, is to get off of StreamYard for a lot of different reasons, okay? And the big bugaboo for me is, can I bring all these chats under one roof and do it in a more cost-effective way as far as how I broadcast the live stream? So we'll see if we can make all that happen. We'll still be on YouTube. We'll still be on Rumble. We'll still be on Twitter. It's just that as opposed to me using StreamYard, I'm going to try Rumble Studio Tuesday night. So yes, plan on being here 7 o'clock. Eden's Refuge with a $2 Rumble rant as we start the Rumble. Great show, Brian. Have a great weekend, everyone. Well, thank you, Eden. I appreciate that. Greatly appreciate that. Thank you again so much for all of your generosity. You guys are awesome. So Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, the newsroom, we will be back. Have yourselves a great weekend. And remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, more money." We'll see you guys Tuesday night at 7. Sean, hang on. I will send you a link here in 1 second. Love you guys. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.